up to 70% of the population, which are the lower consuming brackets, can be protected from any increase at all. Which means that in Jabalpur city, where there is a flat tariff of 140 rupees a month currently for water supply, 2 hours in the morning and 1 hour in the evening, we have analyzed that it is possible for the city to provide 24 hours water within the same water charge. So without 70% of the population paying more than 140 rupees a month, it is possible for service levels to go up extremely, as long as the 30% of the population, which are in the higher consumption brackets, are made to pay at cost-reflective tariffs. So I'll stop there, but would really welcome comments, further discussion on these, and as well as on the presentations that both Indore and Nagpur have made.
Thank you very much, Madam. I just want to add before we open the House for comments and discussion that presently we are following a system of slab system of tariff, and which can be simply understood as digital system of tariff pattern, that you come to one level and then suddenly you jump. And when I was proposing the revision of water for Bangalore city, I was thinking that why can't we move from the digital model to the analog model? And when I say the analog model, there is nothing called slab in that. So for every point on the curve, your water rate is changing. So it's a formula. In fact, I derived the formula, but I was not having time. There was tremendous pressure that you have to finish the business of water revision within 1 month time, because the BBMP election is going to come. And if it comes, then you will not be able to do anything for the next 3 years. So I was not able to implement, but I will seriously request all the people who are sitting here that let us start thinking from moving from a digital concept of water tariff to an analog concept. And I can tell you, unless you make the higher consumption really costly, the people are, this difference of 200 rupees or 300 rupees on the water bill of a person who is earning lakhs and lakhs of rupees is not going to make any difference. So the moment you shift to the analog system, the real what I can say that the feel will come that yes, I have to save water, and I think we have to do from that system. The formula is very simple. I think there are a lot of mathematicians who are sitting here, they can work out. And now the House is open for any, yeah, please, Madam.
I've actually been, as you know, following the Nagpur project very closely. And if I was just listening to your presentation here, both of you, Mr. Hastak and you, I wouldn't actually get the sense of the challenge that I know you went through. So why don't you share with us 1 or 2 critical challenges? Because, so much rests on that. As I said in the morning, today, wherever we go, when we talk public-private partnerships in the urban infrastructure sector, the response we get is they will not work. And Nagpur, of course, is an exception. It's a work in progress, and you are expanding your scope and going along. And if you could share, how you crossed some of these hurdles. Let's leave the fact that you have political support helped. But there must have been sort of, other challenges. And the second question I have is to Mr. Anjum Parvez, that you started in 2008, right? You successfully demonstrated that 24/7 can be done. Of course, in demonstrating that, you had taken the risk of changing the entire network, replacing in those wards. But why has it taken you so long to scale it up? What I want to know is, as we go to other municipalities, other municipal corporations, how do we, build their morale that it's possible to scale up, it's possible to overcome these challenges? For that, we must understand what your challenges are. Thank you.
Yeah, probably, if you ask about the real challenges in the field, I think, It's entirely different than when we talk about, in theory, the PPP and the financial models and the responsibilities. Because you see, all the cities as on today, the water supply is run by that, person whom Mr. Parvez, like he said, the chudi. How many turns he will make will decide the water pattern of the whole city. Then to add to that, you have tanker mafias, you have political interests, you have some other interests as well. So the field is different. I mean, it's a different ball game to understand and handle. But I think if there is a commitment, like in this tanker issue, I mean, what we did is we changed the whole pattern. It was per trip basis. So there used to be a huge pilferage into, bogus trips. I mean, it used to go into crores and crores. So first summer we didn't do anything because we couldn't do anything. We had to supply the water. And it is so hand in glove with the people at large that, there will be a media person, there will be probably a corporator, there will be a tanker guy. So if they act in tandem, you really have, you really have a problem. So we changed the whole thing. We said, okay, we'll hire 100 tankers on monthly basis, whether they work or not. And we will give them diesel and we'll give them incentives to make more trips if they do than the mandatory. Now, this has like broken the whole issue of, per trip and only those zones and not zones. So last summer we could handle it in much better way and saved a lot of money. We know that next summer we will have some more, they will also come back with, some more ideas to break it again. So it's a constant process. I mean, and I think here, once it's a PPP and once there is a commitment from the private operators, so the whole intensity changes. There has to be skin in the game of the private operator. Of course, I must say, a huge amount of, this 80% I will say depends on the political will in that city. If they really want to get it done, that is a must. Without that, it will be, it's so easy. You see the PPPs are so fragile, or you get people on board. The only protection we can have, that's what, because I am going through it, so I understand. Unless people are on your side, then you don't have any problem. Then all the other things become secondary. So that is like, if we talk of challenges, there are many challenges, but I'm sure, once you start giving service, once the water, supplies improves, it becomes more equitable. Also, going to 24/7 directly is not possible. We also learned it, that it has to be first equitable water supply, then probably we can move on to 24/7, one area after another. And second thing, there is a major difference into 100% replacement of pipelines as was done in Karnataka and what we are doing. So what he rightly pointed out, that it is, Sunita ji pointed out, is you will have 6 times more losses because you are pressurizing the system. The leakages will go on for 24 hours. In Nagpur, like we have 3,000 kilometers of pipeline, we will be replacing 500 kilometers. We have done 440 kilometers. So the rest of the pipeline not necessarily is like, perfect. So it is an iteration. So you again go and again replace some more pipeline. So then it will stabilize over a period of time, as far as the technical efficiency is concerned.
You have asked a very difficult question, madam, that we started in 2008 and why we are not able to scale up till now. But I will start with a positive note that we have already started the process of taking 24/7 in 16 cities, and in Karnataka every scheme comes with a suffix called Bhagya. So we have started the scheme called Neer Bhagya. So it is directly linked to the luck that who are these 16 cities. Now, so the first point is that, madam, that when we talk about 24/7, it is not only about water reaching the doorstep 24 hours, but it has to reach with a pressure of reaching at least 3 floors. That is to a height of at least 35 to 40 feet. And that is a major challenge of 24/7. Not only the water, because you have to pressurize your pipes. You can, at least 3 to 4 times the pressure which you are putting right now. And all the old pipelines which are in the cities are all PVC pipelines, old pipelines, which cannot sustain, the joints cannot sustain this kind of pressure. So as Mr. Lakhani told that today or tomorrow you have to go for the replacement of the pipeline. I'm just giving an example of Belgaum, city of Belgaum. When the project was completed, the distribution loss came down to 5%. Wonderful achievement, but if you go to Belgaum today after a gap of 7 years, the distribution loss is touching about 17-18%, which is a major concern that even in spite of doing 24/7, are you in a position to maintain the distribution loss to that level which was achieved in the beginning of the project? And you may be aware of that thing, that it is deteriorating, it is coming down, and it is becoming more and more and more. And I'm pretty sure that once the pipes are old, we'll land them with the similar situation that again. So it's a continuous process. One has to monitor the entire pipeline, and there should be an automatic system that which pipeline should be replaced after how much of time. So it's a continuous process of input of money. And that was holding Karnataka, that from where to mobilize this kind of money, because when you are doing in a 3-zone area of Hubli, Dharwad, Gulbarga and Belgaum, it was easy to tie up with the World Bank and get the foreign external assistance for that. But if you are going to scale it up, from where that money is going to come, because even in the PPP model also the 50% has to come from the government. They cannot afford to put the entire 100%. So that was one of the reasons. The second reason that I'll go back to the issue that why Belgaum, Dharwad and why not some other city? And one of the main criteria for selecting these 3 cities was that enough bulk water was available in these 3 cities. So the similar success would not have been achieved in the case if the Bijapur would have been taken in place of Hubli, Dharwad, or Tumkur would have been taken in place of Gulbarga. So it was extremely important in selection, because you are going only for 3. And even in that 3 cities also, I know I was Deputy Commissioner of Gulbarga at that time, how the area was decided. It was the area which was much more open to the ideas, which was taken on a pilot basis. So it may not be possible to get the similar kind of involvement of the people and the response from the people if you go for the scaling up. And the last, that sometimes the success of pilot itself becomes the bottleneck for the scaling up. Because well, it sounds very funny, but that is the real thing which has happened in Karnataka, that I was Commissioner of Municipal Administration during that period when the 16 cities were to be decided, and there used to be heated argument that why this city, why not this city? The MLA will come, sir, why you are taking 24/7 in my neighboring district? Why not my district? What my district has done? So it becomes like an issue that, oh, Gulbarga, Hubli, Dharwad and Belgaum are getting 24-hour supply. I can also give 24-hour supply to my city. I will be the next MLA. My seat will be confirmed right now itself. So, and there was a tussle in deciding these 16 cities, madam. It took almost 4 years to decide finally that which are these 16 cities going to be. So sometimes the success stories, if really good, then the people will start running for it, and the resources are limited. But I can tell you that we were always positive on 24/7, and today also the thinking is that yes, this is the solution, not only from the availability of water point of view, but more from the health point of view, because unless you put water at a pressure, this waterborne disease is extremely difficult to stop. So from that perspective, we are very clear in mind. It's just a question of money availability, and as you know that every state has a